Uncle Joel. Put the gun down before you kill someone.
Teenage Girl's Diary.
Hello, and welcome to another Dollar Store Drive-In. I'm your host, Laura.
I'm Joel.
And we're the Newlyweds.
Yes, we is.
Thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time watching, we are a half-hour chat show where we discuss a movie that we watched and have lots of thoughts on. If this is not your first time watching, welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for joining us again. Besides a show, we also use this as a podcasting material where you can actually listen to this on usually Spotify. That's where I upload it. I don't know where else Spotify throws it out into the
Ether.
The ether? Yeah.
The ether.
I know. I always want to say the neither world.
Yeah. Bailey's like, the ether. What's the ether?
What's the ether?
F-F.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made the noise this time.
You did make the noise. So we do record this out of our house. Bailey is sitting on my husband's lap right now. Shaggy keeps walking back and forth. So we encourage you, if you are listening to this, to also check us out. You can find us at thenewlydeads.com for all of the places that we are featured. One of them, of course, is YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel. We also have a lot more content on there. Besides this show, we also do Sinister Snacks. We do caffeinated reviews sometimes. Joel does unboxing videos, all sorts of fun, different kinds of things. We always try to throw it with a spooky sort of spin on things most of the time. But yeah, so happy October. I know this is probably smack dab in the middle of October. So this is our favorite time of the year. And hopefully you're enjoying yourself during this beautiful month as well. But in order to get back to the Dollar Store Drive-In stuff, we have some criteria for the show. The first thing is the shows that we watch need to be under $5. They need to be a horror, sci-fi, thriller genre. And it needs to be a movie that neither of us have ever seen.
How's that possible?
I know, because Joel watches a lot of films. A lot. And I watch a lot of films, and sometimes I forget what they are.
Me too.
So this week, we watched a movie that you found at, it looks like it's got a missing sticker thing on it.
Where did I get that from? It was at some sort of a resale shop.
Yep.
And I was like, Tara Reid and a spooky movie.
Sold.
Done.
It's got to be gold. It's called Incubus.
Or as we've been lovingly calling it,
Incubus. So I'm going to read the synopsis of this little gem here. And yeah, so you ready for this?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All righty. In the dead of night, a group of lost college students. Did you catch that when we were watching it?
What?
College students.
Yeah, they
don't seem like college students. Anyways, a group of lost college students stumble upon what appears to be an abandoned laboratory hidden deep within the woods. Cold and exhausted, they break in, only to find the hallways littered with dead bodies. Coming across a coma patient locked within an isolation cell, they discover the Sleeper, a deranged murderer who can literally dream his way into their minds. So when her friends are transformed into bloodthirsty, axe-wielding killers, a terrified young woman tries desperately to escape. For when the Sleeper decides it's her time to die, all he has to do is wait for her to fall asleep. Yep.
I got a kiss on the nose from the Sleeper.
Is he the Sleeper?
Apparently.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Weird stuff on the back here,
Kisses.
by the way. Like, what's going on there? That part. This dude. I don't know what's up
I don't
with
know
that.
who that dude is. It doesn't look like the dude in the movie.
Weirdness.
We have lots of thoughts, so.
We do have lots of thoughts on this movie. It's unrated.
I have information about the film that Might
Ooh,
surprise you. Might not care about it, but it was interesting, so I wrote it down.
this is the unrated edition.
I don't know if there was another version or not.
Okay, so I think we can probably show the trailer.
Yep.
Can it be some sort of like medical cart,
Try. I never know until I
like
get
a
into
gurney?
it. Like
Does
gurney
that help?
mills,
Something with wheels, you know?
wheels. Well, it's got to have wheels typically, or
A
legs
gurney.
of some sort.
It can be a gurney.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like a medical laboratory kind of dealio that's going on. Okay, so we're gonna have you watch the trailer. I'm gonna watch it with you because this will be the first time I'm actually watching the show all the way through. So join me while you're watching it, and we'll be right back. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, we'll be right back.
Anybody hurt?
Where are we?
Wherever we are, gonna make it to the highway before dark. What the hell is that?
It's not on the map.
Hello?
Hi.
Looks like it's completely sealed up.
If we stay out here, we're gonna freeze. Jay, come on, this is crazy.
What is it?
I don't know.
Did you hear something?
What are you doing? Open the door. He's not dead. He's in some sort of coma. What's that?
Maybe there's a way out.
The Defense Intelligence Agency, the CIA, they've been studying him for years.
What's remote viewing?
It's where you see things and they're not really there. When Peter fell asleep, something happened to him.
He dreams them. Dreams through them.
Come on, you gotta see this.
Incubus. Demon that enter into your sleep.
This is crazy.
How long can you stay awake? An hour? A day? What happens when you fall asleep? We have to leave this place right now. Hello?
Funny thing, I'm not that tired anymore.
We're back. Hopefully you enjoyed that flatulent trailer.
Maybe. I never know until I start doing it.
Sometimes there's
not
one
farting,
fart,
but-
sometimes it's all fart.
Depends on the film and what the trailer leads the way. Whatever the trailer shows me is where we end up. Because as we mentioned in last week's episode, the editor is myself, and I
And the
talk in
trailer
third
is your
person,
muse.
and the trailer is my little squeaky toy that I play with. So during the course of the film, I take notes. Sometimes Mrs. Dooley does take notes. I draw pictures, and it gives us a guideline for the show. And then at the end of the year, she collects all the notes, which I have been storing on our shared drive. And then she puts them into a little flippy book, and you all can check them out and go, wasn't
Weird.
that interesting? Or you'll be like, that's great. Or I don't know.
I think it's interesting. He always draws cute little cartoons,
You're there for the art.
which he's probably going to show me right now.
I am. So this week I drew, for some reason, I did Pac-Man and Blinky, because
Mhm.
Blinky is a tattoo on my arm.
What
I
is
drew an
egg?
egg that's broken. I don't know why. I just started drawing a little oval, and it came out to be an egg. And then I just
A blue
drew
bucket.
a boo bucket that I don't know if it actually technically exists, but I illuminated it. So it's an illuminated boo bucket.
An illuminated boo bucket.
An illuminated boo bucket.
And it's, October, so that's appropriate. The boo buckets came out on the 15th. I know, we're not a fan of the boo buckets this year. If you've seen them, I don't know. I think they're going to be cute for kids, though. I was telling one of my coworkers about it today, and she was very excited to show her kids because her kids like Happy Meals and stuff. And
Yeah. For kids,
they've been collecting the Croc toys that were in there.
I know
But for
people
kids,
like them.
it's cute.
It's fine.
Yeah, they have like little monsters on them and stuff.
Which we've collected the last couple years, and we've been going back and buying the original ones as we find them in flea markets. And
I
things.
love finding like the old school boo buckets.
So
I have one that has the cookie cutter in the top. Those are always my favorite. But yeah, I think I only have one that has a cookie cutter,
Yep.
and then the other ones, have. But
Yes.
we've got like old school ones. The old school ones were just so much better because they had lids,
They were, I think, a little bit bigger.
a little
Maybe
bit
that's
bigger, a little bit
perception.
more sturdy. Yeah, the ones that we've gotten the last couple, we're looking up there because that's where they're at. But yeah, we've got about 4 blue buckets.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
feel
we
like
got
we had
4.
more than that.
So did I, but it looks like we have 4. So
I thought I had a white one too.
if you know where to find them or want to,
Yeah.
send them our way, contact at thenewlyducks.com.
If
We'll
you
see what
have
we
boo
can come up
buckets to
with.
sell, like the old school ones.
Or we can work out some sort of a deal.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk boo buckets. That's another episode.
I mean, it could be.
It could be.
We could have a whole episode on our YouTube channel.
Oh, right. We've talked about showing off some of the things in the house that people are probably curious about.
One of these
since
days.
We're spooky cute creators and we like to collect things. So you might someday see what we have lying around. But,
Yeah.
So Incubus is from 2006, currently sitting at 3.0 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. And there's a reason for that. So this was directed by Anya Camilleri, who has done lots of TV and short films. Merry Christmas. This was written by Gary Humphreys, who did something called True True Lie. And that's all. And then this.
Is that like 2 truths and a lie?
I'm guessing that's what they were going for, but why not call it 2 Truths and a Lie instead of True True Lie?
True, true lie.
Just sounds weird.
Like a train. Choo-choo.
So this stars one Tara Reid that we mentioned earlier, who is from the American Pie franchise, which, as we mentioned last week, probably hasn't aged well. Haven't watched it in a while. She's from the Sharknado franchise, which is aged like fine wine. All 6 of those films are
It
fantastic.
celebrates the whole catalog.
I do, and I've watched them all multiple times. And she was in something called Mummy Dearest, which is spelled as in, shambling mummy from the grave. So I'll have to see if we can track that one down at some point. Because she is a fine actress when she's crying and upset. But when she's not, she is not the best. No offense, Miss Reed. So anyway, this also stars Akemneji Deforenyen. I know I'm butchering that probably. It's a lot of letters that don't feel like they should go together, and I'm sure they probably are fine and are probably super easy to say, but I'm having difficulty. I should have looked ahead. He was in a film called Tango 1, The Last Witness, and Catherine Called Birdie. I don't know what that was. It just sounded interesting.
Yeah.
This also stars Monica Barladena, which I threw her on there as we were watching because she was kind of one of the more major characters. She was in something called Caved In, which, again, something we should probably watch at some point. Do It or Shut Up, which is very, aggressive.
Yeah, that's very aggressive.
And Second in Command, which I guess if you are not the commander-in-chief, then you are second in command. So at this point, my lovely wife turns to me and says,
What'd you think?
now we really get true, and a lie. There's actually no lies. It's all true. So the trivia I mentioned earlier is that this was the first direct-to-download film in history. It premiered on the internet and then was released through, you got it, AOL.
Wow.
Right? 2006. I thought AOL was gone.
I mean,
my
it wasn't
parents still
gone. It's
use-
still around,
My
but
parents still use it.
I know.
Fairly certain my parents still use AOL. So yeah, that's a little bit of fun history, which
Hopefully you threw that AOL ping pong ding 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 noise or whatever.
You've got mail.
Yes.
if I can find it, I'm sure I can track it down. So this started out, the soundtrack felt like a Richard Band film. Like the score sounded like a Richard Band score, which Richard Band is Charles Band's brother. Charles Band is the head of Empire Pictures and then later on Full Moon Entertainment, which we bring him up a lot on the show for some reason because I read his book and we like Full Moon
We do.
features. But the reason I mentioned that is because it was actually written by Simon Boswell, who is a rather well-known composer. When I heard the name, I'm like, that sounds kind of familiar. So I looked up his filmography. So I'm throwing in a little extra history for you. He did Shallow Grave, the 1996 Ewan McGregor, Danny Boyle film with Christopher Eccleston and Kelly. No, not Kelly. I forgot the actress's name that's in it. Anyway, if you've never seen it, it's a crime thriller. It is fantastic. It's on the shelf. I watched it when it came out on video.
What's it called?
Shallow Grave.
Hmm.
It's about 3 roommates that live in a flat in England or in London somewhere. I think might be Scotland. I don't remember. And they come into some money through some reason that is best left to watch the movie, and they end up deciding they're going to keep it, and that turns into a murder thing because nobody wants to share. But it was the first time I saw Ewan McGregor, other than Trainspotting. Like I saw them right around the same time. I don't know which one was first. I saw Trainspotting in the theater, and I fell in love with Ewan McGregor and have celebrated his entire catalog.
Oh yeah.
But he was fantastic in this early film for him. He also did the score for Hardware, which is another movie that I was just talking about recently that is getting a Blu-ray release finally, which is another fantastic movie about a military robot that goes nuts and starts killing people in a post-apocalyptic kind of future. And I put this one here just for you, Demons 2.
Ah, Demone.
Yeah, Demons 2, which if you've not seen Demons or Demons 2, it's an Italian film with demons kind of in a zombie type thing, and it is crazy. And Demons 2, will take this, I'll fight you on, be the hill I die on. It's got to be where they got the idea for Evil Dead Rise, because it is very similar in plot. A lot of the beats are the same. It's very similar.
Yeah.
So
Demons is a pretty good movie.
What? Demons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like
enjoyed
both of them. They're both on the shelf, actually. So as soon as it started, I was like, is this a Frankenstein story? Because it felt like kind of like a Frankenstein and his monster sort of situation at first when you see the guy in the chair.
Yeah. It's not very believable to find a weird laboratory in the middle of the woods that still has all of the stuff connected to it. Like, I understand that they needed to have some sort of like crazy reason for being in this laboratory, but like, why does it have to be in the middle of the woods? Like, they could have had it in any setting. It didn't need to be in Montana in the middle of the woods somewhere. Like, it was just kind of odd, like their choice.
Is it in the same world as Black Cadillac?
Well, that was in Wisconsin.
But they were also near Montana, right?
No.
Minnesota. Never mind.
Montana is on the other side of the country.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like the location, it kind of reminded me of House on Haunted Hill, the original. But what it really reminded me of, and I'm not sure it's not the same location, was Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, which is a piece of garbage. That sequel is awful. It's almost as bad as The Exorcist 2 The Heretic. But it looks a lot like the place where they spend time there, at least in my brain. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But I think the reason I kind of got the Frankenstein thing in my head is that the main bad guy, that's the comatose dude in the chair that can possess you in your sleep, he looks a lot like David Prowse, who you might know as Darth Vader from the Star Wars films. He was in a film called The Horror of Frankenstein, which is a loose reboot of the Hammer Frankenstein series. And he looks very similar. They look a lot alike. I'll put an image of him here so you can see. I'll maybe try and find if I have both. But the title kind of lent itself to us singing Incubus songs all day. Incubus. So they find this guy in a chair. They find everybody dead. They don't want to get blamed for it. They can't get out for some reason. Like, they go in through the roof. They like spelunk down into the building and then can't get back out. So they're trying to find an exit. They're dealing with all these dead bodies. They don't want to get blamed for it. And soon they start dying off one by one as this guy's taking them over and he's murdering everybody in the place. And it just becomes this like real chaotic kind of super slow, like slod.
And the thing is, it's only 87 minutes long. It's not a very long movie, but it seemed really long. Like, yeah. I was pretty bored. I did not fall asleep.
She did not. Luckily, otherwise she might have got possessed.
Yeah, I was drawing while I was watching, so
I was drawing conclusions. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? A
slow burn.
Slod?
You always say it's a slow burn.
No, this was just like it was hard.
It was like
a dirge. Is not even the word I'm looking for.
Just plodding along. I don't know.
It's like.
It was a stretch. Like all of the plot points were just none of the acting was great. They all seemed like they were like really trying extra but it wasn't. It was just kind of falling short on some of the acting.
A lot.
A lot, yeah. And it just wasn't. I mean, definitely wasn't scary.
Nope.
The guy that they had for the main antagonist was sleeping most of the time. And so you're like, okay, am I supposed to feel bad for this guy? Obviously, he's the incubus dude or whatever, but like, you know, he murdered his mom or something like that. But then you find out the reason that he murdered his mom is because he was abused. And like, she sees this guy and she's like, oh, I know who that is. It's that kid that like bit his own tongue off and then killed his mom. And then he was on death row and like all this stuff. And like, they're like, why is he in this basement? Like, why did she know all that? He's like literally like this, like almost reanimated corpse looking kind of thing. He's got all these tubes in him with like his head shaved off. And I know she found some files and stuff.
She watched a bunch of old VHS tapes.
Oh, right.
That
they
kinda
had
gave
laying around.
history on it. Well, it was the lab where they were keeping him.
Why would you have that though? It's just weird.
But like the whole premise is that this guy was massively abused. He was kept in a very small cell for most of his life, or was kept, you know, he wasn't left to live his own life. And so he basically learned how to kind of leave his body.
Yeah.
And that's how he got out of, you know, dealing with this horrible situation that he was given. It just wasn't very.
It was almost like
believable.
astral projecting kind of
Right.
thing or whatever.
They
So,
even say that at one point.
yeah, and it seems like it's like supposed to be kind of Freddy Krueger-ish, you know, where he can like infect people in their dreams, but then they turn into like almost like a zombie. Like they turn into him essentially,
Like he's using their body
like
to
possessing them.
to do his whatever he wants to do. Which for some reason he's this tragic figure. So she thinks that, oh, he's a tragic figure like Frankenstein's monster. So
She feels bad for
maybe
him.
if I either A, put him out of his misery, which is kind of what he either wanted, or
That's what she thought he wanted.
get him unplugged and let him go, which wasn't, you know, the best idea. So they decide, you know,
Yeah,
they're going to
she wanted to help him. And then so they're like testing their own theories about stuff or whatever. And so, you know, they realize that when you fall asleep, then like you turn into this bloodthirsty like killer or whatever. So they like tested on this one girl. She's like, make sure, you know, that things are fine. And like, and so they put a gag in her mouth so like that way she wouldn't cut off her tongue or whatever. And she ends up doing it anyways. And they're like, oh, she can't breathe. So they immediately take it off and then they have to kill her because she's like trying to bite them and stuff. And like,
Which I think that was a little extreme. I don't know what
Agreed.
the choice was with that, where they were going to make one of the characters kill her just to stop her. I mean, she was a very tiny woman. Like she was super petite.
they could have
short,
restrained her.
Small. They could have, between the two of them, Tara Reid and him could have easily like held her down. or
That scene
put the
lasted
gag
way
back
too
or something.
long.
It was a weird just decision. I guess they were just trying to get rid of bodies. But the whole movie felt really kind of dumb and pointless. And then once the guy, they kill him and they think, you know, everything's over, so they're going to leave.
This is not spoiler free, by the way.
No, you don't need to watch this.
Yeah.
When he first starts talking, he sounds like if Forrest Gump and Nell had a baby.
He keeps saying JJ
But then
like-
we're like, how is he forming
talking. He's supposed to have no
words?
tongue.
But he at first he sounds like he's having difficulty, like he's saying things that doesn't require his tongue.
Mm.
But sooner or later, he's like 7 years ago.
Yeah, he's like,
Our
JJ, I want
forefathers,
to
you
be
know.
inside you, and like saying like all this weird stuff. Not only that, but okay, he's been locked in this room for God knows how long, with like a port right here in his stomach, and like a port in his heart, and a port in his brain,
He hasn't
and just
moved.
being pumped full of something. And then you find out that I think that the reason all those ports and stuff were put in him is because like they were trying to keep him asleep and trying to like keep
Comatose.
him in this comatose state or whatever, because like he's a bloodthirsty, like I'm gonna murder everybody kind of thing. And all of a sudden, I mean, he's literally just this little noodle guy. And then as soon as they take out all those things, he's like buff, yeah, and like walking around like,
I don't know how
I'm
he
gonna
was able
find
to,
you, JJ, but he's still slow, you know.
I don't know how he was able to walk. And then he eventually is crawling a rope. Like he's crawling up
Oh.
a rope.
Just like it's nothing.
I can't do that. And I I move around all the time, and
I'm gonna find you.
somehow he just magically is like, "Doo-doo-doo,
and this
let's
is
go."
her way of like trying to kill him. Like she lets him go up the rope, and then she's like, "It's time for you to end," and she just starts going like this with
like
the
a
rope.
bell, like she's trying to ding a bell,
And then he
ring a
falls
bell.
off, and that's supposed to be his demise. Like their friend did the exact same thing when they were coming down that rope,
Yep,
and like they were fine.
he was fine. I mean, he
It wasn't
got
a
the wind
very
knocked out of him, but
long fall. It wouldn't have killed anybody unless they landed on their head and
Which he
broke their
did
neck,
not.
which he didn't. He just fell like this with one of his little legs like bent a little bit, not even bent so it looks broken.
This
Bad.
movie was
Not believable.
Just say it was dumb and pointless, and the ending was telegraphed like
Oh yeah.
miles away. Because when it ended and it just kept going, you're like, okay.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, he's finally dead." So then she like collapses and falls asleep, and then she starts dreaming weird stuff, and then wakes up or whatever, and then realizes that the sheriff is there and arrests her because he's like,
Which-
"What happened here, lady?"
How did the sheriff get in? And because one of their friends leaves and is going to go get help,
And she
you're like,
did.
oh, she's not going to come back.
And you would
But-
have thought she would have been like, "No, that's my friend or whatever." Like, you know, she's the one that needed the help, but she's just like,
oh,
"I told you I'd be back" or whatever. Like,
Arrest her.
yeah,
Bye.
yeah, bye.
And then, surprise, surprise. Guess who's been possessed by
The dude.
Forrest Nell?
Yeah, her eyes are they turn into his eyes or whatever.
He's
It's
got
just-
like weird,
it's
like
lame,
gray eyes, and
lame.
it was. I wrote the very last thing I wrote in my notes was, "What in the hell happened?" Oh, who cares?
Yeah.
So at this point,
Yes. So on a scale of 0 or whatever, like negative to million to 5, I don't know, tongues.
oh,
Because they kept talking about biting his tongue off a lot.
I'll have to remember that.
What would you give it?
Well, I have a Letterboxd account, so if you ever want to check out my reviews of other films and see what I think. I already rated it on there. I gave it a 0 stars. I didn't give it a negative, but I did not feel that it deserved anything at all. I just kind of was like, this is a nothing. Like,
I am exactly where you're at.
dumb.
I was thinking about it the whole way home today, and I was like, I'm going to give it a 0.
Yeah, you didn't fall asleep,
Didn't fall asleep,
We
but
made
it
it
was
through
not
it.
entertained.
but we never
Yeah.
need to see it again.
Never need to see it again.
Don't know why it was made.
Yeah.
The end.
Bye bye, Incubus.
So
Oh.
let's see it go away. Whoa, she tossed that thing. So then,
So
I
if
like
they don't
how
want
she
to watch
does that.
this, what should they watch?
So you've already kind of referenced this, and it was the best thing I could think of to really relate to it, because there's been other movies that were similar, but I'm like, if you're going to go in, just go in with the originator kind of, maybe not the
Originator?
but one of the early ones. I mean, you could have gone with like Patrick or one. Oh, Patrick would have been a good one. Patrick's about a guy who's in a coma who kills people. And there's a sequel, Patrick too.
You know,
But I didn't. I went with A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. Damn it, I wish I would have thought of Patrick. I could have changed it and nobody ever would have known.
You can
But
change it right now if
I'm
you want
being
to.
honest.
2.
check out-
You get a 2 for this week.
Oh, all right, pretty good. Patrick and A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original 1984. I don't remember when Patrick is from, but it's a very similar plot, I think, except he doesn't take people over. I don't know what he does. It just sounds similar. I haven't actually seen it. So there you go.
All right.
Dream
what,
Killers.
What are we watching next week?
Next week from the
Yes.
Big Box of Fun. This one came from Dollar Tree
Ouija Geist.
from 2018.
Oh, wow. This looks like a... woo-hoo.
Steaming Pile of Delightfulness.
Yes. She will eat your soul, it says on the front.
Oh, like Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
This
That's
game
what I
spells
said.
terror.
It smells terror.
Spells.
Oh, spells. I thought it was like, it
According-
smells terrible.
According to the Dark Eyes of London, it's a lot of fun to be had here. Impressive camera work, and the score is striking.
Eyes of London?
Eyes of London.
Is that like Lords of London?
I
or
don't know.
London by After Midnight? or
Just
what's going
judging
on?
from the back of it, it's not going to be
I mean, it looks like it's got a little more production value than this last
but we like
one.
these, and that's why you watch it, because you like watching us talk about bad horror movies.
And sometimes we find a little gem or
That's
something
what-
that
that's
has
what our
little
goal
nuggets
is.
in there that we enjoy.
Yes. And we always enjoy watching it together, so that's always a plus, plus, plus. After renting a new apartment, a single mom finds a spirit board buried in the backyard.
Always.
This sounds familiar. It sounds familiar, which conjures the ghosts of a group of evil entities who haunt her and her family. A local priest is enlisted to help her put these souls to rest before they break free and create hell on earth. Doesn't it sound kind of like it's not? We haven't seen
No.
this, but like, doesn't it sound kind of reminiscent to that one where like they find something in the backyard and like
Yeah, I don't know what
it was like a
that was.
doll or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it wasn't.
And then the lady with the baby. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a couple movies
No, I
mixed
think
together.
I know.
but-
I think we're on the same page. But yeah, I don't know what that was called. I'll have to look it up. Incidentally, speaking of spare boards, we're running out of time, but I just have to mention, we have a couple things around the house that are spirit board related because again, we're a spooky couple, so you got to have some spirit boards lying around. But we've been looking for an original Parker Brothers Ouija board to buy, and we see them at flea markets, but we're trying to find a good price on one that's in good shape.
This one's not a Parker Brothers though, Joel.
But we haven't found it yet.
It's Hasbro.
But my wife found one at the most
Random.
strangest place that you could have found one for the most inexplicably low price that you could ever find. And my oldest said we can't open it.
Yeah, we got it at the Five Below.
Halloween
They
at
are
Five Below.
selling them, and it says not to be used by children under 3.
So if you're 3 and under, no demons for you.
No summoning demons.
No demons for you.
Yeah. I mean, I
So-
want to open it and look at it, but yeah, I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this riveting episode of Dollar
Riveting.
Store Drive-In. And until next week,
keep it cheap and creepy, and don't open your spirit board box, apparently.
yes. Bye.
Go look after your mother and sister. Where are you going? I'm gonna finish this.